Sharputin Magomedov returns this Saturday against Jolton Santos, and I'm not gonna lie, in first glance you're probably thinking they gave Sharputin a can, especially when you hear a name called Jolton Santos. Am I right? It sounds like a jobber who's destined to lose, but do not let that name fool you, because this guy has the potential to be Sharputin's hardest fight to date. Jolton Santos is a veteran of the sport. He has almost 50 professional MMA fights, and this dude has fought everywhere, man. He's fought in kickboxing, karate combat, boxing. This dude is a fighter, pretty much a true martial artist. His style is very come forward, he's very aggressive, and he has good grappling. And if you don't believe me, there's footage of this guy taking down a young Dricus du Plessis, not once but twice, and he was actually controlling him at some points. And when he was controlling him, some of those positions were very good, and that can be very concerning for Sharputin because he hasn't been able to stop any takedown to save the life of him. And I feel like the UFC is probably testing him with someone who's pretty much good all over the place, And I almost forgot to mention that Luderback is a very groundy kickboxer who has a slided bladed stance, which allows him to fire off a rear hand with some serious power after a quick lead hand attack. His stance is almost like a bit more of a square Wonder Boy though. His hands are often low, but that allows him to stab at his opponents with straight attacks. And all that means to me is that Sharputin could be potentially in some real trouble, since Jolton has some serious knockout power and he has the option to take this fight to the ground, where Sharputin does not want to go, which is crazy to say because the dude is Dagestanian, but I will give Sharputin this. I like the way he fights on his back. But besides that, obviously we all know that Sharputin so far has been showing holes when it comes to the grappling aspect. I mean, literally in his last fight with Bruno Silva, he was getting taken down. Obviously Sharputin won, but still it wasn't a great look to get taken down by a striker. I think Bruno took Sharputin down twice in the third round, once in the second round, and sure, he did stuff a couple takedown attempts, but it wasn't a great look, man. At the end of the day, his wrestling defense is weak. He was getting taken down by weaker competition outside of the UFC. However, his kicks are amazing. They look incredible in his fight with Bruno Silva, and as for his boxing, it's not great. At best, it's decent. He doesn't have outstanding boxing techniques, but he can punch very well offensively. But his boxing skills overall is just not that great. His kicks though are in another level, man. They look like freaking Ken's kicks from Street Fighter, man. But that's another thing that concerns me with this fight with Jolton. Jolton usually likes to grab kicks and takes you down, and since Sharputin doesn't have the best grappling defense, that can be very concerning. I just think Sharputin has to take this fight in a different route. I just honestly think Sharputin can't start out as wild as he usually is. He probably needs to be more composed at the beginning of the fight, Once Jolton starts opening up on the feet and he's getting overwhelmed, then Sharputin should get wilder. Throw some crazy ass kicks all over the place, try to get the finish. However, I do think it's going to be a very competitive fight regardless, because Jolton is crafty on the feet and has some serious power. Overall, my pick this Saturday is for Sharputin to beat Jolton. I don't think he'll get to finish Jolton. I honestly think he'll win by unanimous decision, but it would not surprise me if it did go the other way. But in the same time, I doubt it. I believe Sharputin will get the win. With all that being said, I want to add this. I don't ever think Sharputin will ever be a champion in the UFC. I just don't see it, to be honest. I could see him being ranked in the top 10 eventually. I just feel like the lack of grappling defense and the fact that he can only see with one eye will give him more problems the farther he goes down in the division. But he is indeed a top level fighter. I mean, he just beat Bruno Silva, man. But those are my thoughts in this matchup. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always, guys, I'll see you on my next one.